life is going to happen, and when it happens, how are you going to respond? Like, how are you going to respond? Are you going to let it take you backward, or are you going to let it move you forward? When negative situations happen, are you going to let it make you get angry and make you bitter, or are you going to use it to let it make you better? A lot of people think that success in life is all comes from everything being all perfect and right, but that's not true. Success does not come from everything being perfect. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Larry Davis and this is the Growth State of Mind. And today I want to talk about how we manage bad experiences. See, if you lived any amount of time, you know that in this life is full of ups and downs. You already know that we experience negative situations and just have bad experiences. We've all had bad experiences. Things don't always go right. In some form or fashion, we will go through some tough times. We all wish that we can avoid them. I know I wish that I can avoid hard times. But what I've discovered is this. I've discovered that it's not necessarily about avoiding hard times. It's really about how you handle yourself in those hard times. It's about how we manage those hard times and what positive things that we can get out of those tough times. That's what really, really matters. But you know what? Every problem introduces a person to himself. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. What this means is that when we face challenges and difficulties, we often discover things about ourselves that we would have had no other way of finding out if we wasn't in that trouble, if we didn't have that problem. There was no way that we can find out some of these things about ourselves. When handled the right way, we can find out some things about our character that we never knew. We find out how strong we are. We find out how much resilience we have. Really, a problem is just an opportunity for you to get to know yourself better. Matter of fact, in the book of James, it talks about this. It talks about what we can get out of facing hard times. In James 1 and 2, it says, "Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." And then he said, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing." Now, it's all that means. What it's saying is there's a reason for you going through what you're going through, because in the end, it's going to make you mature. It's going to make you complete, and you'll be lacking nothing. It's gonna test you and train you to do some things that make you more resilient, to make you more stronger, and to make you ready to face the next battle and the next challenge in your life. And so it's just preparing you. Troubles prepare you for the next battle on the next level, because if you handle it the right way, you're going to graduate and you're going to get to the next level. And when you're on the next level, there's going to be more problems. Like, everybody wants to get promoted. Everybody wants to go higher and higher. But the thing about it is, you can get promoted and you can go to higher levels, but there's still going to be problems. And there's still going to be bigger problems at those higher levels. And so you need to learn who you are. You need to learn how strong you are, how much resilience you have, so that you can face those challenges on that next level. And so that's the whole purpose for it. So how do you usually respond to bad experiences? See, pain prompts us to face who we are and where we are. What we do with these difficulties defines who we become. There's a quote by Martin Luther King, and there's a bunch of quotes from Martin Luther King, but this one is my favorite. This quote from Martin Luther King, it says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." That's like I said, that's my favorite quote from Martin Luther King, because it's so true. It doesn't, the measure of a man is not necessarily when things are going well. It's not necessarily when everything is going right, because when everything is going right, yeah, of course you can have a great attitude. Of course you can be happy. Of course you can treat people right. Of course you can, be excited when things are going well. That don't tell me nothing. I want to know how are you when things are tough? I want to know how are you going to handle things when the road gets rocky, when the boat starts to shake? Like, I want to know how do you face challenges? How do you face hard times and difficulties? Like, how do you react? I want to know, do you blow up? Do you lose your mind? Do you start fighting everybody? Like, these are the things that you want to know about yourself. And these are the things that you want to know about the people in your life. You want to know the way they react to certain situations. because some of us can manage negative situations well, and then some of us struggle. Some of us have a hard time with managing and dealing with hard times. But here's what I know about bad experiences. One of the things that separates people, one of the things that separates people who thrive from people who just survive is how they face their problems. The people who thrive, they learn how to deal with their problems in a way that helps them. It actually helps them because they've learned how to manage it. They've learned how to deal with it in a constructive way. I would say it like that. And they don't hurt themselves even further. See, some people when they get into when they start having problems, they give themselves more problems by the way that they handle it. Like, you know that the way you handle certain things, sometimes you can make the situation worse by the way that the way that you handled it, the way that you responded. And so the one thing that separates people who succeed and people who don't is how they handle their problems. Because here's the thing, everybody's going to have problems. And so that's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't, is how they face and handle their problems. If they handle it head on and they move on from it, then those people tend to thrive. And they know that they know that those bad experiences can be used for a stepping stone to the next level. And it's not necessarily because those people just love problems. Like, nobody loves to have problems. Nobody loves to have problems, because I've never heard anybody say, I just love to have a problem. I've never heard anybody say that. But what I have heard people say is that their greatest gains came in the middle of their pain. Like, they experienced some of the most growth when they were in the middle of their pain and their trouble. This reminds me of Joseph in the Bible. Now, Joseph, he had a lot of problems. If you know the story of Joseph, you know that he had a lot of problems. His brothers threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery. He got lied on by somebody's thirsty wife. He ended up in prison. So he had a lot of problems. But everywhere he ended up, he kept getting elevated. Like, everywhere he ended up, he got elevated and put in some type of leadership role. He ended up being a leader at every level. And at the end of it all, he ended up being the second highest leader in Egypt, only second to Pharaoh. And so what he did was he found a way to use his problems, and his problems led to the growth that he experienced. Like, he didn't necessarily use them, but God used them. God used those problems to elevate him every time. And the same is true for us. We grow most from our hardest seasons in life. I know that's true for me. A lot of the growth that I've experienced, most of my growth that I've experienced came in the hardest seasons of my life. And it's in those struggles that we discover our strengths, we discover our resilience, and we discover the capacity to overcome. Romans 5:3 says, we glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance and character. The way you look at it is that this is the way to look at it, that suffering is a way to build character. Because, see, here's what I know about bad experiences. Everybody has them. Everybody has bad experiences. It does not matter who you are. You can't escape bad experiences. You can't escape the problems of life. Nobody gets to escape these bad experiences. We all have them. You can try and do everything that you want to do. You can try to do everything that you want to do to avoid negative situations. But guess what? You can't. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. You cannot avoid troubles in life. You can't avoid them. Trouble is going to find you no matter who you are. But like I said, no one likes them. No one likes to have trouble. No one likes to go through pain. No one likes it when they're smack dab in the middle of a painful situation. Even if they know that it's going to work out on the other side, they still don't like it. Like, I've learned over the years, that every time I go through some painful situation, I know that there's a greater blessing on the other side. I already know that. But just because I know that doesn't mean it makes it any easier. Just because I know that doesn't mean that in the moment I'm not stressed out, that I'm not fearful. That doesn't mean in the moment that I'm not losing my mind in the moment. Even though I know, I've learned that things are going to always work out. I've just learned that things are always going to work out, no matter how bad it seems, no matter how hard it may be. I've come to learn that in the end, things are going to work out. In the end, that God is going to work all things for my good. I know that. I know that to be true. Uh, and sometimes I pray and I thank God that everything is going to work out. But I tell you what, when I'm smack dab in the middle of it, man, I'm going through it, and it hurts, and it's painful, and it sucks, and I don't like it, not one bit. Even if I know that what's going to happen on the other side, even if I know that I'm going to be elevated, even if I know that I'm going to be blessed, I still don't like it. And so that's just the way it is. But here's the thing: very few people are able to turn a bad experience into a positive experience. Like, very few people are able to find the silver lining, because that's what you want to be able to do. You want to get to the point where you can find the silver lining in every situation. But here's the thing: life is going to happen, and when it happens, how are you going to respond? Like, how are you going to respond? Are you going to let it take you backward, or are you going to let it move you forward? When negative situations happen, are you going to let it make you get angry and make you bitter, or are you going to use it to let it make you better? You see, a lot of people think that success in life is all comes from everything being all perfect and right, but that's not true. Success does not come from everything being perfect. And success does not come from you having a perfect hand in life. Like, sometimes you're dealt a bad hand, but guess what? You got to play the hand that you're dealt, because success in life, it does not come from holding a good hand. It comes from playing the hand that you got and playing it well. Just play the hand that you're dealt. See, a lot of people who have some success in life, they will point back to the hard times that they had and how it made them stronger, how it made them grow, and how it made them resilient. And if you want to grow, you have to become committed to handling bad experiences well, because that's what it's going to take. Because, and the more you grow and the further you go, the challenges are going to get harder. Like, everybody wants to experience some level of success. A lot of people want to get promoted. But when you get promoted, guess what? Bigger problems come with that. Bigger problems come with that promotion. When you make more money, like Biggie said, more money, more problems. You're going to have more money, more problems. And that's just the way it is. And so you gotta watch what you wish for, because if you wish to go to the next level, if you wish to get promoted and go higher and higher, guess what? Those problems, they get bigger and bigger. And so you've got to learn how to handle problems in the most positive way you can. And you got to learn how to, when you get knocked down, don't stay down, get up and keep moving. You got to learn that. Basically, you got to learn how to turn your pain into gain. That's what you got to do. And so some things that you can do is that you can choose to have a positive life stance. That means you can just choose to have a positive outlook, a positive frame of reference. And your frame of reference is just a set of attitudes, assumptions, and expectations that you have. This is basically your outlook on life, the way you look at things. Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Are you indifferent? Because all of that matters. Because you can't always control what happens to you in life, but you can control your attitude about it. You can control your response to it. When you have a bad experience, are you going to let it bury you, or are you going to learn from it and grow from it and become stronger because of it? The choice is yours. You see, some people get caught up on how, some people get so caught up on, it wasn't supposed to be like this, and I get it. It's not supposed to be like that. But guess what? We live in a fallen world, and there's calamity all around us. We live in a fallen, sinful world, and we live in a world full of problems. And so life is not going to be perfect. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It is what it is. This is the way it is. And the way you cope with that is what makes the difference. There's a quote by Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book. He was a Holocaust survivor. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book, he said, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Man, what he's saying is this. He's saying that it doesn't matter what someone takes from you. They can take everything away from you. But the one thing that they can't take away from you, they can't take your attitude. They can't take your mindset. They cannot take your mind and the way you think about it. They cannot take your attitude. that's up to you. They can't take that away from you. It's up to you on how you respond. It's up to you to respond in faith. It's up to you to respond in resilience. And it's up to you to respond with a positive attitude. And see, you got to make the most out of bad experiences. You got to let it spark your creativity. You got to make the most out of your bad experiences by finding a way to get to come up with creative ideas and solutions to get around the problem. You have to learn how to see possibilities within your problems, because life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Like life is not, life don't begin like when everything is going right. Life actually starts at the end of your comfort zone. Once you reach the end of your comfort zone, that's when real life starts. And the same could be said about your creativity. Creativity begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's hard to be really, really creative when you're really comfortable. Like sometimes creativity and innovation is sparked by problems. It's sparked by limitations. And so some of the most creative people and some of the things that we have in this world today, some of the business ideas and the things that we have today were created out of a painful situation because it made someone get creative. So it's really hard for you to get creative when you have everything handed to you. Actually, that's when you can get stagnant and you can get stale when everything is going right. And so creativity begins at the end of your comfort zone. Now, instead of using all your energy to get mad or remain frustrated, channel all that energy into coming up with something creative. That's what you can do. And you also got to learn to embrace bad experiences. I know you don't like hearing that, but you got to learn to embrace it. This is where you recognize that you're going to learn something. This is where you recognize that you're going to, I'm at that point now that, yes, like I said, I don't like the bad experiences. I don't like to experience pain, but I've learned to, when I'm experiencing that pain, I've learned to kind of look and say, okay, but I know I'm going to learn something from this. I know I'm going to get something out of this. And so you got to think about how to make the most out of those bad experiences. Now, and you got to think about the lessons that you're going to learn from it. Some of the successful things that you do today came from learning what not to do. If you really think about it, if you have some success in any area, think about this. There's always the possibility that you will stumble. That's true. There's always the possibility that you will stumble and that you'll fall, no matter what you're doing. But that also means that you're doing something. That means that you're in motion. Because if you stumble and fall, that means you're in motion. Because it's hard to stumble and fall if you're standing still. So don't let people don't let the haters, discourage you, because a lot of haters, they're not moving themselves. And the reason why they're not falling and the reason why they're not stumbling, because they're not moving. And so don't let people discourage you. When you move and when you're in motion and when you're trying to get something and when you're trying to get to something greater, yeah, you're gonna stumble and fall along the way. That means that you're taking action. You're trying to go somewhere. You're trying to accomplish something. Because where there is no struggle, there is no progress. You can't have progress without struggle. And the struggle is going to happen. But here's the thing. Will you learn from it? Will you learn from it or not? And that's based on your ability to understand that struggles present opportunities to learn. Because here's why. Facing difficulties is inevitable, but learning from them is optional. It's up to you. You're going to face difficulties, so facing them is inevitable, but learning from them is purely optional. You're going to go through the problem anyway. You might as well learn something from it. You might as well get something out of it because you're going to have the problem anyway. So why not get something out of it? Why not learn something? It's crazy, but sometimes it takes a bad situation for us to make the changes in our lives that we need to make. I hate to say it, and I don't know why it is this way, but it just is. It's the way it is. But sometimes we need to have something bad to happen to us before we make the changes for the better. Some people need to have a major health crisis before they start eating right and exercising. Some people need to lose people in their lives before they start treating people right. Some people need to lose money or lose their job before they realize that they have made an idol out of money, and that they've put the love of money ahead of their own family. Like, all of these things will make you face the fact that you need to change. But no matter how much pain you go through, it's all meant to teach you something. If it didn't kill you, it's meant to teach you something. It's an opportunity for you to change something in your life. It's an opportunity for you to start going in the right direction. It's a bend in the road. And a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. You see, in life, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have unexpected twists and turns. But it's not the end. A bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you don't make the turn. That bend in the road is just a temporary moment of redirection. It's not the end. Sometimes we need that redirection. Sometimes we're headed in the wrong direction and God has to throw a curve in there so we can make the right adjustments. And we're crying and complaining about the redirection, not knowing that it's God's protection, not knowing that God is just trying to protect you. I'm glad we have a God who knows the end from the beginning. He knows what's down the road. He knows what's ahead of you, and he knows that there's danger if you keep going in that direction. So he's not trying to punish you. He's just trying to save you. With all that being said, you still have to take responsibility for your life. Just because life is hard and things happen, that don't give you an excuse to not take responsibility for your life, because those circumstances don't define you. Those failures and those mistakes, they don't define you. You got to take responsibility for your life. Like a lot of people, like we're all going to have these problems and we're all going to have trouble. But the problem is a lot of people let those things overtake us. And we never really overcome. And so I just want you to know that whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever happened, those circumstances, they don't define you. They don't define you. You still need to take control of your life. So that means when bad experiences happen, and like I said, they're going to happen, don't sit around blaming everybody. Don't get stuck in self-pity. You're going to get knocked down, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay down. Whatever happened, you still got to take responsibility for your life. It happened, guess what? You still got to get up and go to work anyway. It happened, guess what? You still got to be a good husband and a good father. Guess what? You still got to raise your kids. You still got to keep serving in that ministry. You still got to keep serving your community. You can't really grow if you don't take responsibility for your life. The bottom line is this: it does not matter what you have to go through in life. You have the opportunity to learn from it, to grow from it, and just be better overall from it. But that only happens if you change your perspective on what happened to you. See, it's not always about what happened to you. It's about how you think about what happened to you. It's about your perspective. If you can change your perspective, you can change your life. I know it's hard to have a positive outlook on a situation when you're smack dab in the middle of it. Trust me, I know. But just know that you will get through it and you'll be better because of it. You'll be better on the other side of it. Now today we talked about managing bad experiences and how we all will face problems, but it's not about the problems, it's about how you handle the problems that makes the difference. It's about how you handle yourself in the midst of the problems that makes all the difference in the world. And if you like what you heard today, you might want to check out a video I did on not giving up and overcoming life struggles. If you want to watch that video, just click or tap the screen and I'll see you in the next video.